أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. According to the history of the people of the book, who are the people of the book? The people of the book are the Jews, and the Christians are so called by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because they did receive revealed books. Of the revealed books that they received is the Torah, the Zabur, and the Injil. These names are translated as the Torah, the Psalms, and the Gospel, respectively. But the books that are extant are corrupt. Of the revealed books, only the Quran remains exactly as it was revealed. So, according to the people of the book, the period between the birth of Noah and the death of Adam was 146 years, and that's according to Genesis 5 of the New Revised Standard Version. Noah was born 126 years after the death of Adam. Ibn Abbas narrated that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, the period between Adam and Noah was 10 centuries. And that's according to Sahih Bukhari. Noah was born 1056 years after Adam's creation, or after Adam left the Garden of Eden. Thus, this hadith does not contradict the earlier statement made by the people of the book, as it may first appear to do so. However, it's important to note that any narratives or statements taken from the people of the book are not necessarily credible. This was taken from Genesis 5. For many generations, the people of Noah had been worshipping statues they called gods. They believed that these gods would bring them good, provide for all their needs, and protect them from evil. They gave their idols names such as Wadan, Suwan, Yaguth, Yagwa, Nasiran. These idols represented respectively manly power, mutability, brute strength, beauty, sharp insight, swiftness, according to the powers they thought that these gods possessed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed in the Quran in Surah Nuh verses 23. They, meaning idolaters, have said, you shall not leave your gods, nor shall you leave Wada, nor Suwa, nor Yaguth, nor Yagwa, nor Nasr. Originally, these were the names of the righteous people that had lived amongst them. When they died, their people erected statues in places they used to sit. After some time, these idols were worshipped. The later generations did not even understand why they were erected. All they knew is that their parents used to pray to them, and that's how idol worshipping started. They had no understanding of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who could punish them for their evil deeds. So they became cruel and immoral. Ibn Abbas narrated that following the death of these righteous people, Satan inspired their people to erect statues in places they used to sit. They did that, but these statues were not worshipped until the coming generations diverted from the right way and they worshipped them as their idols. Ibn Jarir related that there were righteous people that lived between the period of Adam and Noah that had followers that emulated them as models. When they died, their people said, if we erect statues of them, it would be more pleasing to us in our worship to have these statues as a memory for them. So when they died and others came, Satan crept into their minds saying, your forefathers used to worship them, and through that worship they got rain. So they worshiped them instead of Allah. Ibn Abi Hatim related a story that Wadan was a beloved man by his people. When he died, his people withdrew to his grave in the land of Babylonia, and they were overwhelmed with sadness. When Satan saw the sorrow caused to these people because of the death of this man, he disguised himself in a form of a man and he approached them and he said, I've seen your sorrow because of the death of this man. Can I make a statue like him so you can put him in your meeting places and remember him? They said yes. So Satan made a statue like him and they put it in their meeting places to remember him. When he saw their interest in remembering this statue, he said, can I make a statue like him so you can put him into your houses, and each of your houses will have a statue so you can remember him. They said yes. So their children saw and learned about what they were doing, and they also learned about the remembrance of this statue. So the first to be worshipped, or the first idol they worshipped or they named, was Wadan. The essence of the point is that every idol was worshipped by certain people. It was said that picture sons were made, and as ages passed, these pictures were transformed into statues so that their forms could fully be recognized and they worshipped them as their idols. Salama and Abiba related to the Prophet Muhammad wasallam about a church called Maria they had seen in the land of Abyssinia. They described to the Prophet its beauty and the pictures therein. The Prophet said that those are the people that built places of worship on every grave of every man that was righteous, and they made those pictures therein. He said, those are the worst of creations unto Allah, and that's in Sahih al-Bukhari. Worshipping anything other than Allah is a tragedy whose results not only lead to loss of freedoms, but when its serious effects reach man's mind, they destroy it as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created man with his mind with a sole purpose set on achieving knowledge, and the greatest of that is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator, and everything else is a worshipper, a slave, or a creation. Therefore, by worshipping anything other than Allah, it leads to loss of freedoms, destruction of the mind, and the absence of a noble target in life. Worshipping anything other than Allah enslaves man to Satan, who himself is a creature, and man becomes harnessed to his baser qualities. So into this environment, Allah sent his messenger Nuh to his people. Nuh was the only intellect that was not caught up in the whirlpool of man's destruction caused by polytheism. Allah and his mercy sent his messenger Nuh alayhi salam to guide his people. Nuh was a very excellent speaker and a very patient man. He pointed out to his people the mysteries of life and the wonders of the universe, and he also pointed out how the night is regularly followed by the day, and that the balance of these two opposites was created by the Almighty for our own good. The night brings about coolness and rest, while the day brings about warmth and awakens activity. The sun encourages growth, keeping all plants and animals alive, while the moon and the stars assist in the reckoning of time, direction, and seasons. He told them that the ownership of the heaven and earth belonged to the divine creator. Therefore, he explained to his people that there cannot have been more than one deity, and he clarified to them that the devil, Satan, had deceived them for such a long time, and the time had come for that deceit to stop. Noah spoke to his people about Allah's glorification of man, how he created him, provided for his sustenance, and the blessings of the mind. He told them that idol worshipping was a suffocating injustice to the mind, and he warned them about worshipping anything other than Allah, and he described to them the punishment that Allah would mete out if they continued in their evil ways. The people listened to Noah in silence. His words were shock to their stagnant minds, as it is a shock to someone who is asleep under a wall that is about to fall and they are vigorously awakened. This person may be alarmed and they could even get angry, but the aim was to actually save them. So Noah's people were divided into two after his warning. His words touched the hearts of the poor, the meek, and the miserable, and they soothed their wounds with its mercy. For the rich, the strong, the mighty, and the rulers, they looked at the warning with cold distrust. They believed that things were better off as they were, so they started their war of words with Noah. First, they accused him of being a human like themselves. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed in Surah Hud verses 27. The chiefs of the disbelievers among his people said, "We see you but a man like ourselves." Noah, however, had never said anything other than that. He asserted, indeed, he was only a human being. Allah had sent a human messenger because the earth was inhabited by humans. If the earth had been inhabited by angels, Allah would have sent an angelic figure. Thus, the conflict between the polytheists and Noah continued. At first, the rulers thought that Noah's call would soon fade on its own. When they realized that his call attracted the poor, the helpless, and the common laborers, they started to verbally attack him. They told him, "You are only followed by the poor, the meek, and the worthless." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed in Surah Hud verses 25 to 27, "Indeed, we sent Noah to his people. He said, I have come to you as a plain warner that you worship Allah alone. Surely I fear for you the torment of a painful day." The chiefs of the disbelievers among his people said, "We see you but a man like ourselves, nor do we see any follow you but the meanest amongst us." And they too followed you without thinking. "We do not see any merit in you above us. In fact, we think you are liars." So thus the conflict between Nuh alayhi salam and the polytheists intensified. The disbelievers tried to bargain. They said, "Listen, Noah, if you want us to believe in you, then dismiss your believers. They are poor and meek and worthless, while we are the elite and the rich. There is no faith that can have us both." So Noah listened to the heathens of his community and realized they were being obstinate, but he was very gentle in his response to them. He told them he could not dismiss the believers because they were not his guests but Allah's. Allah revealed in the Quran in Surah Hud verses 29 to 31. Nuh said, "O my people, I ask you no wealth for it. My reward is from none other than Allah. I'm not going to drive away those that have believed. Surely they are going to meet their Lord. But I see that you're being a people that are ignorant. O my people, who will help me against Allah if I dismiss them? Will you then not give a thought? And I do not say to you that with me are the treasures of Allah, nor do I say that I know the unseen. And I do not say to you that I'm an angel, and I do not say to those whom your eyes look down upon that Allah will not bestow any good on them. Allah knows what's within their inner selves in regards to belief and faith. In that case, I should be among the Dalamin." Nuh alayhi salam refuted the arguments of the disbelievers with the noble knowledge of the prophets. It is the logic of the intellect that rids itself of personal interest and pride. So that the disbelievers were tired of Noah's arguments. Allah related their attitudes. They said, "Oh no, you have prolonged your disputes with us, and much have you prolonged your disputes with us. Now bring us what you threaten us with if you are truthful." And that's in Surah Hud verses 32 to 34. Nuh alayhi salam told them, "Only Allah will bring it to you," meaning the punishment, "and if it's His will, then you will not escape. And my advice will not profit you, even though I wish to give you counsel. If it is Allah's will to keep you astray, He is your Lord, and to Him you shall be returned." So the arguments got prolonged, and when all the refutations of the disbelievers collapsed and they had nothing more to say, they started to insult. They started to be rude and insult Allah's Prophet. In Surah Al-Araf, Allah reveals in verses 60 that the rulers of his people said, "We see you in plain error." Nuh responded to them in the manner of the prophets. He said, "O my people, there is no error in me, but I am a messenger from the Lord of the Alamin," meaning mankind, jinn, and all that exists. "I convey to you the messages of my Lord, and I say to you, and I give to you sincere advice. And I know from Allah that which you know not." And that's in Surah Al-Araf, verses 61 to 62. Nuh continued to appeal to his people to believe in Allah hour after hour, day after day, year after year. He admonished them to Allah, and he used examples, explained to them Allah's signs, and he also illustrated to them Allah's abilities. But each time he called them to Allah, they ran away from him. Each time he urged them that they should ask Allah for forgiveness, they thrust their fingers in their ears and they became too proud to follow truth. Allah revealed in the Quran that indeed we sent Nuh to his people saying, Warn your people before there comes to them a painful torment. Nuh alayhi salam told his people, O my people, I have come to you as a plain warner, that you worship on Allah alone and be dutiful to Him and obey me. Allah will forgive you your sins and He will respite you to an appointed term. Verily, the time of Allah, when it comes, it cannot be delayed if you only but knew. Nuh continued to say, O my Lord, I have called my people day and night to accept the doctrine of Islamic monotheism, but all my calling added nothing but to their flight from the truth. I have called them night and day openly and secretly, and verily every time I call them, they thrust their fingers into their ears, covered themselves up in their garments, and they persisted in their refusal, and they magnified themselves in pride. I have called them openly aloud, I have proclaimed to them in public, I have appealed to them in private. I have said, ask your Lord for forgiveness, He is oft forgiving. He will send you rain in abundance, increase you in children and wealth, and He will bestow unto you gardens, and He will bestow unto you rivers. Nuh alayhi salam told his people, what is the matter with you, that you fear not Allah's punishment, and you do not hope for reward from Allah, while He has created you in different stages? And that's in Surah Mu'minin, verses 13 to 14. And He told them, and see you not how Allah has created the seven heavens, one above the other, and He has made the moon a light, and therein, and He has made the sun a lamp. And Allah has brought you forth from the dust of the earth. Afterwards He shall return you into it, and again He will bring you back through resurrection. Allah has created for you the earth, wide, spread, and expanse, that you may go therein broad roads. Nuh alayhi salam said, O my Lord, they have disobeyed me, and followed the one whose wealth and children increases him not, but in loss. They have said, you shall not leave your gods, nor shall you leave Wada, nor Suwa, nor Yaguth, nor Yagua. Indeed, they have led many astray. O Allah, grant no increase to the Dalamin except error. And Allah reveals in Surah Nuh, the verses 1 to 25, that because of their sins, they were made to drown, and they were made to enter the fire, and they found none to help them except Allah. Nuh continued to call his people to believe in Allah for 950 years. Allah revealed in the 29th surah of the Quran in verses 14 that indeed we sent Nuh to his people, and he lived amongst them for 1,000 less 50, inviting them to believe in the oneness of Allah, monotheism, and to discard all false gods and other deities. What happened is that every passing generation admonished the succeeding one not to believe in Nuh and to wage war against him. The father used to teach his son the matter between himself and Nuh alayhi salam, and he counseled his son to reject Nuh's call when he reached adulthood. So their natural disposition rejected believing and following truth. So Nuh realized that the number of the believers was not increasing, but that of the disbelievers was increasing. He was sad for his people, but he did not reach a point of despair. Allah revealed to Nuh in Surah Nuh verses 27 that there will not be others who would believe, at which time Allah inspired Nuh not to grieve for them, and then Nuh prayed to Allah that the disbelievers be destroyed. He said, O Allah, leave not one disbeliever on earth. If you leave them, they will mislead your slaves, and they will beget none but wicked disbelievers. So Allah answered Nuh's prayer, and the case was closed. Allah passed His judgment in form of a flood, and He inspired His worshipper Nuh to build an ark with His knowledge and His instruction, and with the help of the angels. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed in Surah Hud verses 37, and construct a ship before our eyes and with our instructions, and address me not on behalf of those who did wrong. Surely they are to be drowned. So Nuh chose a place outside the city, far away from the sea. He collected tools and wood, and he started day and night to build the ark. But each time the disbelievers passed by him, or the chiefs of the disbelievers passed by him, they made a mockery at him. They said, "Oh no, does carpentry appeal to you more than prophethood? Why are you building an ark far away from the sea? Are you going to drag it to the water? Or is the wind going to carry it for you?" Noah said, "You will come to know who shall be put to shame and suffer." Allah the Almighty revealed in Surah Hud verses 38 to 39 that as he was constructing the ship, whenever the chiefs of the disbelievers passed by him, they made a mockery at him. Noah said, "If you mock at us, so do we mock you likewise for your mocking, and you will come to know on whom shall come the torment that will cover him with disgrace, and on whom shall be the lasting torment." So the ship was constructed. Noah sat awaiting Allah's command. Allah revealed to him that when the water miraculously gushed forth at the oven, out of the oven at Noah's house, that would be the sign for him to act, and that would be the sign for the start of the flood. So the terrible day arrived when the oven at Noah's house overflowed. So Noah hurried to open the ark and to summon the believers. And he took with him every kind of male and female of each type of animal, bird, and insect. Seeing him taking these animals to the ship, the people laughed loudly. They said, "Nuh must have gone out of his mind. What is he going to do with the animals?" Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed in the Quran, "And it was till then there came our command, and the water gushed forth like fountains from the earth, and we said, embark therein with each kind too, male and female, and with your family, except against the one on whom the word has already gone forth, and the believers, and none believed him except a few." So Noah's wife was not a believer, so she did not go on board with him. So was one of Noah's sons, who was a disbeliever secretly, but had acted belief in front of Noah. Likewise, most people were not believers, so they did not go on board. So what happened is that the water rose from the cracks of the earth. There was no crack from the earth where water did not rise from. And the water was pouring from the skies in quantities never seen before on earth. So water was rising from the earth, and the rain was pouring. Hour after hour, the levels rose. The sea and the waves invaded the earth. The interior of the earth moved in a very strange way. The ocean levels suddenly lifted, flooding the dry land, and the earth was submerged for the very first time. Allah in the Quran related the story that Noah said, "Embark therein in the name of Allah shall be its moving course and its resting anchorage. Surely my Lord is oft forgiving and the merciful." And it, meaning the ship, sailed with them amidst waves like mountains. And Noah called out to his son who had separated himself apart, and he said, "O my son, embark with us and be not with the disbelievers." His son replied and said, "I'll betake myself to the mountain. It will save me from the water." Noah said, "There is no savior this day from the decree of Allah except the one he has mercy." And the wave came between them, and his son was among those that drowned. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed that it was said, "O earth, swallow up your water, and O sky, withhold your rain." And the water was dismissed, and the decree of Allah was fulfilled, the destruction of the people of Noah. And the ship rested on Mount Jude, and it was said, "Away with the people who are the Dhalimin," meaning the oppressors and the wrongdoers. So Noah called out to his Lord and said, "O my Lord, indeed my son is of my family. Certainly your promise is true, and you are the most just of all judges." Allah said, "Certainly he is not of your family. His work is unrighteous. And ask me not that which you have no knowledge. I admonish you, lest you be among the ignorant." Noah responded and said, "O my Lord, I seek refuge with you from asking you that which I have no knowledge, and unless you forgive me and have mercy on me, I will be among the wrongdoers. Allah reveals in Surah Hajj from verses 41 to 48 that it was said, "Oh no, come down from the ship with peace from us and blessings on you and with those who are with you and on some of their offsprings. But there will be others whom we shall grant their favors for their pleasures for a time, and in the end, painful torment shall reach them from us." And with the divine command, a calm returned to the earth, and the water retreated, and the dry land shone once again in the rays of the sun, and the flood had cleansed the earth of the disbelievers. Nuh alayhi salam then released the birds and the beasts that scattered all over the earth. Afterwards, the believers disembarked. Nuh put his forehead on the ground in prostration, and the survivors kindled a fire and sat around it. Lighting a fire had been prohibited on board so as not to ignite the ship's wood and burn it up, meaning nobody had eaten anything hot for the whole period of the flood. So following the disembarkment, a day was set aside for fasting and thanks to Allah. The Quran draws a curtain on the story of Prophet Nuh alayhi salam. We do not know how the affairs of his people continued. All we know is that on his deathbed, Nuh requested his sons to worship none other than Allah. Then Nuh passed away. Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-Az said that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that when the death of Allah's messenger Nuh approached, he admonished his sons, saying, "Verily, I would give you far-reaching advice, commanding you to do two things and warning you against doing two things. I charge you to believe that there is no God but Allah, and that if the seven heavens were put on one side of the scale, and the seven heavens and the seven earths were put on one side of the scale, and the words 'there is no God but Allah' were put on the other side of the scale, the latter would outweigh the former. And I warn you against associating partners with Allah and against pride. Ashhadu Allah ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh."